The opinions expressed on the radio program by the host, co-hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Genesis Radio, www.genesisradio.com, Genesis Radio's owners, management, or affiliates.
All right, it's that time again, and thank you for tuning into GenesisRadio.com. My name is Kendall Stevenson, and this is the Empowerment Show. The Empowerment Show is also a part of unity in the community. Usually we start the show off with a moment of gratitude, so I guess we're going to continue with that. Let's see, my moment of gratitude always waking up in the morning. Taking that first breath, I sit on the side of my bed, and then I think about all the things that it took for me to take that first breath. A lot of things had to go right all night. A lot of things had to go right. And we ain't talking about the wife, but a lot of things had to go right. This evening, I have my co-host, Ms. Hope Cressman. Say hello.
Hello.
And we have three lovely guests. Hello. How are you guys?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
I'm also well.
Well, you know,
We're all well.
that's excellent. What we're going to talk about this evening is the different type of tragedies that people may have in their life. Unfortunately, we do go through life, and we do happen to have tragedies that we have to live with. We have to work through them. Sometimes we're able to do it through prayer, with our faith, and sometimes we just gotta, kind of wing through it. But it's a difficult task. We have to go through psychology, and we go through moments of depression. But tragedy is tragedy nonetheless. And these three young ladies here are here this evening to really talk about the tragedy in which they had to suffer. I'm going to leave it over to you. Let's start with you, Miss Lee, and you can go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Emily Lee. I am the oldest of four girls, and my baby sister is Melinda Hoagland.
That's when we're looking for justice.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Jamie Hoagland. I am the youngest of the three sisters of Melinda Hoagland.
And
I am Cynthia. I am Jamie's wife, and Melinda was my youngest sister-in-law.
wow. So let's talk about the tragedies that you guys had occurred. This way we can get that out the way.
Actually, Kendall, I want to preface
All right,
with
go ahead.
only because this could bring up triggers for our listeners. So I just wanted to let everyone know that we're clearly not going to talk about anything in graphic detail, but this could bring up triggers for individuals. So if after listening to the show or during listening to the show that you feel that it's causing you anxiety or mental anguish, please remember that our mental health crisis line in Pennsylvania is 988. So you can always reach out to 988 if you feel you need to talk to somebody about what we're going to be talking about tonight.
And if anyone feels that they need to reach out immediately, you can give us a call at 888-304-4401. That's 888-304-4401. Didn't want to interrupt you, so please.
No, that's okay. So in the beginning of this year, we found out that my baby sister was murdered by my father and his girlfriend.
It's already been resolved in the courts.
It's not. No, we are just at the beginning steps. It's a long road. Could be like 2 years till justice is fully served on her behalf.
That must be a really hard thing to go through, especially with being that you're a sibling, and I couldn't imagine it. I really couldn't imagine it. Did you guys have to go through any psychological help, psychiatry, or anything like that to get
I
you through it?
think we all seek counseling separately, like individually, and then, to lean on each other for the support system, because, it's our sister we lost, but also our father that we're mourning. He's alive and has a beating heart, but the actions that he took aren't forgivable.
Do you still have any type of relationship with him? Do you?
I do not.
I do not.
I guess none of the sisters do at all. Huh?
No.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about your sister? Let's talk about her. She was a beautiful one, so let's tell me about her.
Melinda was beautiful. Unfortunately, she left us from a young age, but even as day one, she was a miracle. She had hard time coming into this world, but she definitely got through it. Growing up, she was always so cheerful, always your number one supporter. She loved everything life gave to her. She was very advanced in her time. She loved movies from way before she was even a thought. She just really loved life.
I know we could talk about the bad times and things that went wrong, but I kind of like people to remember her as she was in a life form. That's why I asked you to give me a description. Maybe you can give me your opinion. About
When was Melinda's birthday, and what was special about that?
So Melinda was born on July 4th, and believed that all of the fireworks were for her. So no matter, even I like to believe, even now from above, she sees the most beautiful fireworks.
So do you guys celebrate the 4th of July? I mean, do you, in her honor?
We do. Yeah.
Set a rocket off in the air, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I think she probably would like that too.
Right.
Yeah. You had something you wanted to ask the young ladies?
I mean, we had talked about a lot of things. So, actually, would you mind sharing a story? And I apologize because I didn't talk to you about this one. So over the summer, they had a celebration of life, excuse me, for Melinda. And we had sparklers and they released butterflies. But there was a gentleman there. Do you remember who I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
The gentleman that was in the ambulance with Melinda.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay telling that story?
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the celebration of life, we had a gentleman who drove from Westchester. That's about a 2-hour drive. And he had brought for us all a piece of sweatshirt that he was wearing the night of her passing. He was on call and was called to the home where they had dialed 911. My father had dialed 911 for her being unresponsive. And he had it cut up and embroidered with her initials and her date of birth and the date she left this earth. And he basically said that once the first responders sort of knew that there wasn't much more to do and she was cold, her body temperature was very low, he wrapped her in the sweatshirt. And he brought the sweatshirt for us all to have a piece of.
And I mean, I also had the opportunity to speak with him at the event, and looking at the circumstances at the scene, he came to the conclusion that she may not have had the best love in that household, and he vowed that if she were to pass away there in the ambulance with him, that he was going to show her love.
I think the young lady had plenty of love. Looking at you guys, I don't doubt it at all. But your father called 911?
So he did. He was with her unresponsive body for quite some time. And allegedly it was a debate between him and his girlfriend if he were to call 911 to their home or if he were to drive her to the emergency room, and he decided to call the ambulance.
And the girlfriend, was she also incarcerated?
She is.
As a co-conspirator, right?
Correct. Yes.
Like I said, it's still going on in the court. So.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So we won't talk about anything that's
I didn't want to get into anything that's yet. So
Yeah.
he can't get out on bail or anything.
No.
Like that.
No, both of them cannot get out on bail.
Well, that's what happens when you do things like that. You go to hell,
Yeah,
where you probably should go, straight to hell.
absolutely.
Yeah, one-way ticket.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I one of the things that we wanted to talk about tonight was what is justice for Melinda, and part of this, like, and they'll talk about that later. But I just wanted to give just a little bit of backstory as well. Is that the girlfriend, they resided here in Monroe County, and this happened in Montgomery.
Chester County.
Chester. I always
County.
get the two confused. They're so close to each other. In Chester County. But while they lived here, his girlfriend had been convicted of crimes against children. So she already had a backstory, and they'll talk about this later, what they want to do so that this doesn't happen to children in the future. And I know that our district attorney, Mike Mancuso, was very, very helpful to the Chester County DA in giving all of that information over, which is why one of the reasons why the penalty in this situation is going to be so harsh. The Chester County DA is asking for the death penalty.
Your father, what do you think about that?
I personally, at this point, he's not my father. The man who is in prison and did these actions is not my father.
Yeah, he sounds like a monster to me.
Right.
Did you guys grow up with him or in the household?
So go
we
ahead.
did. So when my parents got divorced, my parents are him and obviously my mother. When they got divorced, I was 5, so it was like in 2005. And then we had visitation with him every other weekend.
Yeah, I just asked that question because I think maybe if they had been in a home, then maybe something might have happened to one of you guys. Was he always an abuser or?
I wouldn't label an abuser, but my dad believed, like in the spanking and like the corporal punishment sort of background. But certainly not anything to the extent that Melinda has suffered.
And any drugs and alcohol involved in that?
My dad had a history with abusing medical like prescription drugs. Yeah.
Now, I have to say something. When you talked about the moment of gratitude, I was going to add that I'm grateful that I have these young ladies in my life because they're amazing. And listening to Emily say that that's not my father is huge, because I know in the beginning, the girls and their mom, thought, like with your mom, I'm sure she wouldn't mind me sharing, like, this is the man I was married to. And we had long discussions over that. No, that's not the man you were married to. He changed. The man you were married to was the man you were married to. The man that you knew was your father when he was with you was your father. And he morphed into this. And I'm so proud of them to be able to recognize that that there is a difference. So you guys are doing great.
Thank you.
So you guys were talking about justice, right?
Right.
So what kind of justice do you think that would be right for your sister?
In what aspect?
Well, I mean, you want to already give the man the death penalty. So I guess that's what you would consider to be full justice. I mean, if that would happen, would that satisfy you?
I believe that on the criminal side, he gets what he deserves. We believe in the justice system. If it comes down to the death penalty, then it comes down to the death penalty. If that's what everybody decides that he needs, then maybe he just needs that. But our justice doesn't stop there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we are currently trying to form justice for Melinda, because what happened to Melinda, unfortunately, is happening to so many other children. And there's not a space for them to make it stop happening.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're talking about is actual federal legislation, very similar to Megan's Law. What
Mhm.
Megan's Law is for sexual abusers, to have a registry for individuals convicted of crimes against children, non-sexual crimes against children, because Megan's Law would cover the sexual crimes against
Mhm.
children. So that is the ultimate goal and education, right?
Right. Yeah. So I personally think, really important to educate people as far as knowing the signs, what to look for in a child. Whether, for example, would be like their emotional distress or, change of appetite, like that sort of thing. Like those are things that should have been noticed with my sister. But also, as far as the parents go, if there's a parent that's pushed to the point of they feel like the only thing there is to discipline their child is this, there also needs to be support for the parent that's in distress.
Well, I can tell you, I was one of those kids they used to get the butt with it. That's what they used to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to get a switch. And the parent would make you go outside, and you had to break a limb off the tree, and you had to bring that back, and that's what they whipped you with. But I'm gonna tell you, the only thing I learned is how to get my ass whipped.
Right.
Because whatever lesson that they were trying to teach me, it went in one ear and right out the other.
Right.
My mother would even give me a choice of either you take time out, as they would say, right, or you take this butt whipping and go back outside. I choose the butt whipping. Because like I said, I didn't learn anything with how to do that, how to absorb and take that.
Right. And unfortunately, the children that are abused, that's what they're sort of morphed into this being who can just absorb all of this. And they get to a point where that's, the only thing they think that they deserve.
And they break.
Right.
So other than corporal punishment, how would you discipline a child? What would you do to discipline a child?
So
Emily's a mommy.
Yeah, Emily's a mommy. So mommy, how do you discipline your child?
So I try to get on the same level as my children, and we can explain things to one another as adults that my 7-year-old, my 9-year-old, my 1-year-old is not going to understand. So to break it down to their level, especially you wouldn't want this done to you, so don't do it to others. And there are consequences, natural consequences to your actions, and breaking it down to their level, they're not going to understand unless you are in their mind.
Right.
And I know you're talking about discipline, but I think in the case of Melinda, this was far beyond discipline. This was actually created discipline for situations that were not situations.
Right. It was just torture. It was there to terrorize her for their amusement.
So since you mentioned torture.
For their amusement. For their amusement.
No. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It was much more beyond poor parenting. It was for them, for like laughs and giggles, to see her go through that.
It was more of a power struggle for them.
Right.
They did it to have power over her.
Well, that's why most abusers anyway.
Right.
The rapists, all of them, it's about
power.
Control and power. So yeah, I got that. But Jesus, for their amusement, like they're having fun doing it.
Oh, certainly.
And they end up taking a life, having fun. So that eye for an eye.
And I want to say that what these young ladies are telling us right now is not their opinion. It's not speculation. They had security cameras all throughout their house, and all of this information was caught on camera. So the district attorney's office has a ton of evidence against them in this case, and the situation that Emily's talking about, they were all caught on camera.
So we just hope that things work out the way they should in a legal courtroom, because the law, legality is kind of funny. You could see it right there in front of your eyes, and all of a sudden it'll disappear like it wasn't there because of a technicality. So yeah.
So actually, let's talk about the law for a second, because Jamie, you mentioned torture, and there is a House bill right now, which these lovely ladies brought to my attention because they are on top of it. And it's House Bill 2181. And what House Bill 2181 states is that they want to change the criminal code 18 to include torture as an actual criminal offense against children. And currently it is sitting in the Judiciary Committee. And I'm just going to give you guys an update because I heard from State Representative Tara Probst while we were here And she stated it is still with the Judiciary Committee. And like you had said to me today, Emily, there are only a few sessions left. So it's probably not going to see the light of day this session. But, sorry, shameless plug. Once I get into office, you know that I am going to ram this.
Yeah, it's something that's sitting at the beginning stages that is kind of baffling. And I know that, because we have more of a personal tie to it, it's more unbelievable. But I mean, to me, it's just getting out there in front of these people to realize that they have these children's lives in their hands.
I could tell you it'll work out, because we've had a young lady on the show, Goddess is actually her name, and she was blind, and she started an organization. What was that? Mothers Against Guns.
Okay.
So what I'm telling you is that, yeah, it's a road, and it's going to be a little bit of a fight to fight.
Right.
If you don't fight, you don't win.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you want to get that bill passed, I mean, I know she'll do what she can do, but these politicians, Republican or Democrat, they work for you. So
they're supposed to.
Well, no, they work for you. If you go down there and you get on these people cases like Rosemary Brown or any one of these people, you go to their office and you make those complaints on a daily basis, they serve you.
Right.
Okay? They're not there for politics at the time. So if you want to get it passed, you knock on all the doors, all of them. You kick them down if you have to. And that's the way you're going to get it done.
Yeah.
So that's a great segue to House Bill 2175. And House Bill 2175 is looking to add a permanent office of child advocate for the state of Pennsylvania. It passed the House, and I want to include that State Representative Maureen Madden and State Representative Tara Probst were co-sponsors of that bill. My state representative and your state representative were not co-sponsors of that bill. It did pass the House, and what it's doing right now, which we have talked about, it's sitting in the Senate. And we all know, I mean, in the political sphere, that there are over 200 bills sitting in the Senate right now that are just, it's a draw the line in the sand, Democrat versus Republican. And what do you guys see Justice for Melinda doing to get the Senate to listen and pass that bill? What did we talk about? What did you guys talk about to me?
So we ask for a lot of support from our community to obviously email these people, write these people, because unfortunately sitting here we are three people. Three people making a little bit of noise doesn't help much. We got the attention, but it won't help much. That's where we turn to the listeners of this radio, the supporters of Justice for Melinda, to turn to action, to email these people, to write these people, and we're actually considered going to the Senate floor.
You should do that.
We have 50 senators. That's all across the state of Pennsylvania. So no matter where you're listening from, your senator is not bringing this to the floor, not bringing this to the table.
Recently, we were told that we are just a few young women who need to get their shit together. And we are ready to show everybody what just a few young women are capable of.
Yeah, let them know you got your shit together. But listen, you heard of a young man. His name is, let me see, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You ever heard of him?
Mm-hmm.
One man. You ever heard another person named Gandhi?
Mm-hmm.
One person. Nelson Mandela? One person. So don't tell me what one person can't do.
That's right.
Malcolm X did a whole hell of a lot. One person. So the three of you guys, I'm sure you can do your due. It takes three to have a cult.
We're ready. We're ready to take on the Senate.
No, we are. We're geared up. We've got voices that could go off the land and pinwheels to hand to everyone, pictures to hand to everyone. And unfortunately, Melinda's not the only case in Pennsylvania. There are other boys and girls that have lost their lives to almost this exact playbook. and still we're
Right.
still here twiddling our thumbs about how we can support them.
And that's how the bill 2181 came into play, was in Fayette County.
Mhm.
Very, very similar situation happened. So that's why they want to add torture
Right.
to the crime code. And it's interesting, though, that, I was speaking recently about this case to a local defense attorney. And, not only do we have to have torture added, but so many times when they go into court, they plead down. They're able to plead down the charges. So we need to make sure that the charges are not pled down. And I believe that's what happened with, I don't even want to use her name. Sorry, I'm refusing to use her name. But with your dad's
With
girlfriend.
That's exactly what happened. Is she turned on her husband at the time?
No, she's in jail. She's an adult, over 18, right?
Yeah.
What's her name?
Her name is Cindy.
Thank you.
No, we can use it, but I don't like to give the bad guys any recognition.
No, I recognize them as being bad guys.
Fair.
She has previous convicted history with child abuse, with previous children of hers with other people.
And wasn't there a death involved?
There
Yeah.
was. Yeah, there was a death and another child who would have died if they wouldn't have gotten to them in enough time.
And I just want to clear up, she is still married to her husband that she had in like her first convictions with. She wasn't married to
Correct.
their father.
Correct.
She sounds like a person that may have some mental issues.
Oh, most definitely.
No, really. She sounds like she may have some.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to give her an excuse
No,
or an out.
No,
Right.
we
But
know.
she may be schizophrenic or bipolar or something, that she's not taking medication, and she may go into them. type
Maybe
of
she's
cancers
just
like
evil.
that.
Yeah,
Well, that's
evil.
true too. She may be like Donald Trump. She just may be evil.
But again, going back to what Emily said about, Justice for Melinda is a part of the education, and part of, getting this all together and having this federal, law would be assistance, help, for the parents.
We
And
hope to like rehabilitate and educate people's parents, siblings, anybody, guardians of children, things like that,
Mhm.
to help, we want to be a nonprofit organization to raise money to help the children, to, donate money. Maybe they need college funds, maybe they need, help of some sort, psychological.
And if there's anyone out there listening, we're looking to form a 501c3. I'm going to sit down with the gals later. But if that is your area of expertise and you are a very nice person and would consider doing the work pro bono to help Justice for Melinda form their 501c3, reach out to the show, reach out to the Facebook page. It is Justice for Melinda, and it's spelled Malinda. And right here you have Emily Lee, you have Jamie Hoagland and Cynthia Hoagland, 3, and then Abby Hoagland would be the other sister. So one of them will reach back out to you.
Listen, a lot of that stuff on how to get it, you can look it up online. Really, you can look that stuff up online. And my son, I think he did everything online. He got his LLC and everything he did online.
Well, we have a GoFundMe that we're raising money to become a nonprofit organization.
What's the name of the GoFundMe?
It's
I saw that it's on the
it's
Justice for Melinda
Justice for
page.
Melinda.
Yeah, I think it's
Justice for Melinda.
Yeah.
It's on our Facebook page.
Okay, and your Facebook page is?
Justice for Melinda.
Justice for Melinda.
There you go. Name of the
Everything's
Facebook page.
justice.
Everything
The whole
is
thing is
Justice
Justice
for
for
Melinda.
Melinda.
Remember, if you see something, say something.
Right.
We want to keep saying her name.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, keep her alive, if you want to say.
Yeah,
At least a
certainly.
memory. I was looking at a picture of her. I used it for the flyer. She's sitting on a little pink dragon.
Mhm.
Oh,
Wonderful ride.
She was a cute. She was adorable.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Hope. I know
No,
gonna
you're
say
good.
something.
No.
I'm telling you, little girl was absolutely adorable, and she should deserve some justice. And
Yeah.
to me, like I said, my justice is, I don't know if they do execution here in Pennsylvania, but hey.
Well, and the cost, and I apologize, I don't have the number anymore. I'd have to look it up. I could probably look it up before the end of the show. But the cost to keep someone in prison who is on death row is astronomical.
$3,500 a day.
I don't ever want to hear a legislator say, we can't afford to when we write this law, we can't afford to monitor it. We can't afford to whatever aspect that we need to put money toward, because we're already putting money toward these individuals sitting in jail on a death sentence, but we know that it's few and far in between where we actually do execute people in Pennsylvania. So there's a very good possibility that these two individuals will die in prison on our tax dollar. And if we had that education, if we had that law already in effect, it could have prevented a lot of this.
No, we don't want to turn into Texas.
No.
Okay, because recently, I don't know if you guys know, but a guy was he spent 32 years of his life in prison,
Right.
and they come to find out that he was innocent.
Right.
And I mean, the state prosecutor, everybody was trying to get this guy free, right? Stay of execution. And one of the Supreme Court judges said no, killed him anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not really for the death penalty, because too many people that look like me get caught up in it, and they're innocent. So I'm not really for so much of the death penalty. But hell, if you're guilty, you're guilty, man.
Yeah, I mean,
You get what you
in
deserve.
this case specifically,
Mhm.
there's no saying you weren't involved with
Mhm.
the amount of
Evidence
and videos. There's just,
She's on the chopping block.
Yeah.
both of them,
Mhm.
you know.
Well, he was probably strung along by her. He already had
We're
it
not
in
going to
him.
speculate.
Oh, he probably already had
Kendra,
it.
don't
in
make
him.
no excuses for him.
I ain't
No.
trying to-
Don't make no excuses.
I just don't want the girls to say anything that could be used against them.
He was a grown adult in the situation.
Right. He had a mind of his own. At some point, your conscience is supposed to kick in and take over. Sorry.
That's a person that has morals.
Right.
Someone who's who does what they do to a child for fun. I don't think they have many morals. Not the kind that I have.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah. The question.
Oh, yeah. So one of the things that we had talked about, when we were discussing coming on the show, was that there have been some misunderstandings. I think one of them that we had talked about was when you all saw Melinda last. Because, see, I mean, I know you talked, it's easy to do the 501c3, it is, but these are three people and they're being torn in all different directions. So again, if we can have somebody that wants to help take that off their plate, because not only are they dealing with grieving for their sister and their pain has turned to passion and grieving for their father, they're starting to catch some backlash from the Monday morning quarterbacks.
Now,
So-
before you answer that, so what I like to do is we do a little station break for me.
Okay.
Just a little station identification. Thank you again for tuning into GenesisRadio.com. We're here from 6 to 7 on Wednesdays. You can always call in or tune in. You can tune in on Facebook. If you'd like to give us a call, again, we're at 888-304-4401. I'm sorry.
Do you want to start with the last time?
So I was the last one to see Melinda. There was a lot of speculation, but I can confirm that it was May of 2023, which would have been a year before she passed.
Right. And when you saw her, I'm sure, people have asked this question. What was she
So
like?
when I saw her, she was not at her home. I was never at her home that she was last seen in. When I saw her, we were at a hotel a few counties over from where they resided. And then when I went in, it was a rainy day. It was cold outside. When I went into their room, it was at least 60 degrees. Like, there was no doubt that it was super cold in there. And she was under a big fluffy blanket. She never really got up. But to me, it was never a red flag. She's a child. She's cold. She's going to stay in that bed. She doesn't need to get up for me. I wouldn't have made her got up for me. And looking back on it now, hindsight's 2020.
Exactly.
They probably planned that. But, there was moments that I was alone with her and I was like, how are you doing? How's living with Cindy? And she never gave me any kind of red flag. She never gave me anything. She just continued to talk about how she loved school, how she was moving on in her grade, how she loved her favorite movies, and then the conversation just kind of dwindled into just any other conversation you would have with a child.
I heard you say something that caught my ear. So I'm just I was under the impression maybe that she was visiting, but apparently she was living with them.
Yes,
Yeah.
she was living with them full time since I believe 2020.
So your father got full custody?
Yeah. My father, Melinda's mother, is disabled and basically signed over full custody to my father.
Mhm.
And at that point, Melinda lived with Cindy and my father full time.
Okay, I just wanted everybody to understand how Melinda ended up with those two.
Yeah. And I think another thing that is brought up a lot that we would like to stand up to is that she does have adult sisters. We are adults, but we were never given. I personally was never given her address. Jamie had the address, but was never allowed there. Jamie was always told that they were going to leave, that they weren't going to be home. So it was kind of like a cat and mouse game. And visitation, contact, everything was very monitored and very restricted.
But again, when you were in the moment, it didn't raise any red flags because you knew that, your father, they camped a lot and they did different things. So to say, oh, we're not going to be home, it didn't raise any red flags because that was nothing really out of the ordinary, correct?
Right. And then we also knew Cindy didn't like us much. We
Right.
were Rendell's adult children that had adult opinions, especially about her previous charges. So our opinions unfortunately drove a wedge between our relationships, and at that point we kind of stayed away a little bit for the fear of being cut out completely. Like, I sent birthday presents, I've sent Christmas presents, and the only way I was able to do that was distancing myself and keeping my opinions to myself.
Unfortunately, I didn't do that. I gave him the what for, and sort of what I thought was like my father and I's relationship at that time that we were, seeing each other. I was 25 years old. I had lived my section of life thus far, and I was friends with my dad.
Mhm.
It wasn't a parental relationship. Like, that was a very good friend of mine. So that's how I voiced my opinion was, hey, this doesn't look good. This doesn't seem like it's going to turn out all right. And, we got you're my child, not my friend. You can't correct me. And Cindy followed suit with that attitude towards it.
Your whole time there, you didn't suspect anything or see anything? There weren't any bruises, anything that was physically that you can actually see that was maybe something wrong?
The last time I saw my sister, no. So the last time I saw my sister was in the beginning of my father and Cindy's relationship. So that would have been like December of 2019 was the last time I laid my eyes on her. And that was because I spoke up and I gave my opinion, and apparently my opinion wasn't welcomed. And both my father and Cindy let me know that.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, just the way they work in the court, if a child is going to be taking custody, they go to the biological mother and father first. And if the biological father, if there's no issues, crime, drugs, and he can show that he has the ability to financially take care of the child, then they'll give the child money.
Right. So I was actually living with him through that process. I lived with him from, I believe, 2018 to up to the middle of 2020, COVID. And I went through that process with him. I showed up for their custody agreement. Like, it was a big battle. He had a huge fight to win. And at that time, she was his world. Like, there was no denying that. Like, they're always like the youngest charm. The youngest one always has this charm over her parents. She had that charm over him. He would do anything. And that's why it didn't raise much flags. When we did meet Cindy, Cindy had a child that was living with her currently, that lived with Melinda up until, and there were no signs on him. He lived a happy, full, he was a joyful little boy. So we thought, unfortunately, we don't like this person, but there are all the signs that she did move past this. And we took it upon ourselves to believe in our Father, the Father that we knew, to also, if something did go wrong, to take her out of that situation. And unfortunately, that's where the ball was in his court, and he dropped it.
Well, love is blind. That's what they say. So
Love is something in this case.
Yeah, love is blind. Love will have you out there doing all kind of things, like I don't know, taking the life of a 12-year-old. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, to me, the justice. There's only one justice for me, for him, and especially for her. She's a mother.
Mm-hmm.
This is not some woman who doesn't know what it is to raise a child or to have a child, or what it is to watch a child grow up. She knows, and she was still willing to take a life. I think that's horrible, and
Absolutely.
I think people like that are horrible, and they should get what they deserve, justice, and we should get justice for Melinda.
So tell us what you've done so far as an organization. We'll call it that. What have you done so far as Justice for Melinda, seeking justice for Melinda?
We had that monsoon we mentioned. We had that, when was it? In April?
In May.
In May.
No, June.
June. I'm sorry. This year's going by really fast. We had a monsoon for Melinda. We had zoo animals come out. We had a clown. We had carnival style games. We had a band show up. We had food trucks. We made a small memorial of a wall of photos and memories we could put together that we found her in her most happiest state. Lots of friends and family and local people who support us were coming out. It was really nice. We've had a lot of interviews so far. The girls have had a lot of interviews. We've been putting in a lot of work, personally, behind the scenes. I know it may seem like we're not moving very much, on the social media aspect, but we're trying really hard to jumpstart this organization. And I think if we can get the help of some other people that truly care about this cause, I think that it can happen.
Well, fortunately, you came onto GenesisRadio.com because we have a wide audience. We're an international radio station, so we're everywhere. And anytime you want to tune in, be my guest. But yeah, all you guys, she needs help. They need help and they need support. Donate this, donate that. Every little bit counts. The 501(c)(3), is that what it is? That's what you want to go for? C3?
C3, yeah.
C3? Then if she needs help with it, these guys need help. Come on. And if you guys want to tune in or you want to look onto their website, which is
Justice for Melinda.
Justice for Melinda on
I
Facebook.
know what it is. I was hoping you guys do it in unison.
Go ahead,
with
do
some
it.
harmony,
Ready? Go ahead.
Justice for
Justice for
Melinda.
Melinda. You didn't even say
You
it.
guys would never make a good singer. I tell you that. No, it's good to see you smile, though. After tragedy, sometimes it's hard to smile.
Yeah.
And it's glad to see that you guys are utilizing some mental health, that you're getting help that way. She can help you out with that. Yeah, she's a mental health expert.
Yeah, she hasn't done anything for them.
I'm sure she's done a lot.
yeah.
So, and what I just feel is so wonderful about what they're doing is, again, it's, they've taken their pain and they're now turning it into a passion. But while they're doing all this, they're healing. It's part of the healing process. So the end result will assist them, will aid them in their healing. But as they're doing all this, they are so selfless because all the pain they're going through and everything and the backlashes they're taking from the Monday morning quarterbacks who have no clue what it's like to be in their shoes. Every event that they have, there's always educational information there. They're always talking about calling Childline. You can call your local police department. Childline calls are anonymous if you have fear that of retribution. So I mean, they're always educating people. They have the what was the program that was at the Celebration of Life? It was a gal from out of Harrisburg.
Yeah, she was a child advocate.
Right.
I believe a child victims advocate.
That's okay.
I think so,
Yep,
yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I mean, they're so selfless in this, and they're catching heck from people, and they just still keep moving forward. And they might feel that on occasion it's at a snail's pace, but it really, really isn't. It really isn't. I wish all this stuff could happen overnight, but it doesn't.
No, yeah, and that's
It
a
takes
lesson
grit.
that we're
Yeah.
learning, and it's hard to swallow.
It's called bureaucracy. I mean, some people got a nice label. They call it red tape.
Yeah.
But I could just tell you that these people take things as a priority.
Mhm.
And if they don't feel that you're a priority, you kind of go down on the list. And this is why I tell you, you got to go kick doors.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You got to make noise. You got to make a
Yeah.
lot of noise.
I feel that the children are a priority because I feel like the children, they're the future.
Right.
They're essential.
Mhm. There's a young man. He runs his name is Chacon, and I think he's up in the Poconos, but he runs a youth organization that you may want to get up with him. I'll give you the number after I'm done,
Okay.
and maybe he can help you along with what you want to do, because he helps children. That's what he does. That's what the organization that he does. And they were on the show. They got a pretty good organization. So yeah, I'll give you the number for him afterwards after
Okay,
the show.
cool.
Okay.
So
And we always post, we'll post on our site, so you'll have that information will also be on our site.
Okay.
and this
awesome.
link will be available for people that didn't catch it. Can you tell us about the blue pinwheels? Because you said when you go to visit Senate, you're going to have a pinwheel and a picture of Melinda and her story. So tell us about the pinwheels.
So the pinwheel is the national symbol of child abuse. And we specifically picked blue because that was her favorite color. And it so happens to be the ribbon color of child abuse. So it's just like a perfect match that we can honor her in her favorite color. I mean, obviously we're honoring her by what we're doing and like having her photo, but it's just another like added tidbit on top.
And what I would love to see, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, what I would love to
Dragon.
see, what's that?
You should get that dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I would love to see when you're having another event, or maybe next year's celebration, if you're doing it around Melinda's birthday, is for the whole community. I mean, it's October now. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So you see pink everywhere.
Mhm.
And is September Child Abuse Awareness Month? I'm not
I think-
100%.
I think it's.
I apologize. Yeah, I can Google it real quick.
Yeah.
But I would love to see just blue pinwheels everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that are putting the pinwheels out to actually have an understanding of what it means and to be an advocate. Because when we talk about advocacy, let's say when we talk about abuse, male female issues, we can have women standing up and screaming about this abuse, but it's when the men talk to the other men that it makes a difference. When we have parents that talk to other parents, and when we have people in the community, other kids that are standing up, and I know we had it happen, students at Melinda's school,
Mhm.
standing up for her. We need that community, and if that's what it takes to really show the legislators that we need this legislation change, and we need to hold people accountable. And if it goes all the way back, the House Bill 2175 is amending a law from 1967. From 1967. Now, I'm not saying that child welfare laws haven't changed since 1967, but we really do need to take a better look at this. We, as legislators, need to be in touch with our constituents and their needs. And it's not just our constituents and their needs, it's society.
Right.
We're one of the worst countries, developed countries in the world for prenatal care. Yet we tout how much we love our children. And to me, there's a disconnect there. And you three and Abby makes four to be that voice of change. I feel it in you every day, every time I talk to you.
Yeah, we're trying to do something.
All right, so ladies, this is what I'm going to do for you. Your information. can you tell us your information? I know you gave us the website. I got you. How about if someone wanted to call you?
Or I don't know if you're giving that out. Do you have an email?
Yeah, we have an email.
Okay.
So we have an email that is justiceformelinda@yahoo.com.
MALINDA.
Yeah, MALINDA. Also, the Facebook messengers go right to our phones,
Mhm.
so we're not far away from that.
We've received a lot of messages of people showing us their support and giving us their personal stories on how, you know, they've have their own personal stories with child abuse, whether it is them or their children or somebody they know. So, I mean, we're always listening. If anybody wants to, you know, tell us anything, we'll lend an ear.
Anybody want to reach out? That's very good. So this is what else I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the last word because I want you to get an opportunity to, you know, tell people who you are and what you're doing
Oh, me.
at
Okay.
the time. Yeah,
Sure.
you're running for office.
I am.
Well,
Yeah,
you need
my
to let
name is-
somebody know that.
My name is Hope Chrisman. I am a candidate for state representative in the 176th. Unfortunately, these ladies can't vote for me because they don't live in that district. But they know me, they know my passion, and they know that I'm a mama bear and I'll go to bat for the people who need it the most. And I feel we're not getting that in the 176th. And, you know, I'm a proud supporter of my community. Like I said, I'm mama bear, even just for the entire community. If something is not, if the needs of the community are not being met, we need somebody in office that's going to fight for them and not just fight for, you know, whoever's going to be lining their retirement fund. But that's why I'm running for state representative, because I feel I could do a better job than what we have now. Plain and simple.
We have a guy named Jack.
Raider. Yeah, Jack Raider. Yeah.
Jack?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Who did not actually sponsor either of those bills.
you mean Jack don't know Jack?
You can say it.
Oh, okay. I live in 176
He
as
lives
well.
in my district.
Yeah. And also, like you guys know, she also does work at the Pleasant Valley High School with the track team, the basketball team.
Yep.
She volunteers for multiple things. And on Tuesday night, you
Open mic.
you might catch her at an open mic with
Yeah.
a microphone in her hand.
Yeah.
All right. So that's enough for you, young
That's
lady.
enough for me.
Enough
That's
for you
enough.
right now. What I am going to say is thank you very much for coming into the show. It's greatly been appreciated that you guys would even show up and say hello. It's almost like an honor.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, it really means a lot. You know, any outlet we can use to get our voices out and to be here is amazing.
And if you enjoy the food, you know, I'll give you the number.
Okay.
And you can give her a
Kendall
call.
brought us all dinner.
Yeah, you can give her, I'll give you the number. You give her a
Okay.
call and go get some good food.
Absolutely.
And
Thank
she's
you.
nearby, so.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, GenesisRadio.com. We're here at 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. You can always give us a call at 888-304-4401. And please remember, we are an extension of unity in the community. And as always, like I like to say, peace. We're out.
Thank you.